November 2021 marked a tragic and shocking turn of events in the lives of two young women. Christy Giles, a 24-year-old aspiring actress and model, and Hilda Arzola, a 26-year-old architect. Both women, full of life, dreams, and ambition, were killed under suspicious circumstances that would later uncover a chilling connection to Hollywood producer David Pierce. But the road to uncovering the truth was not an easy one. Christy's journey in Hollywood had only just begun. Born in Alabama, she moved to LA to chase her dreams. At just 21, she eloped to her husband, Jan Cillier, after knowing him for less than a year. Their life together seemed picture perfect, but as Christy's modeling career took off, she found herself increasingly drawn to the world of interior design. It was here that she met Hilda Arzola, a talented architect from Mexico who had just moved to Los Angeles to start her dream job. Christy's mother remembers her as someone who wasn't afraid of anything. She was fearless, always ready for the next adventure, with excitement in her eyes. She had this beautiful energy. It was contagious. Jan, Christy's husband, recalls that fateful day, saying that she was so happy. She went to the beach, spent time with our cat. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Christy was the kind of person who loved life to the fullest. But that night, November 12, 2021, would change everything. Christy and Hilda attended a warehouse party in West Hollywood after hanging out at the exclusive Soho house. Pictures taken at the party showed them laughing, dancing, and enjoying the night. But no one knew this would be their last moments alive. Jan, who was away visiting his father at the time, woke up the next morning to a text message from Christy saying, "I wish you were here." But when hours passed without a response, Jan grew concerned. He checked the location they had shared, and it led him to a hospital where Christy was in the ER, fighting for her life. Jan immediately called the hospital, but minutes later, the unthinkable happened. He received the devastating news that Christy had passed away. Around the same time, Hilda's family was given horrifying news of their own. Hilda, too, had been found in critical condition. She had been dropped off at a hospital by two masked men in a car with no license plates. Her family rushed to the hospital, but what they found was nearly as shocking as Christy's death. Hilda was unconscious, fighting for her life. Just like Christy, Hilda's toxicology reports later revealed a shocking cocktail of drugs in her system: cocaine, MDMA, and fentanyl, three deadly substances that didn't add up. Hilda was known to be health conscious, someone who wouldn't have willingly taken such dangerous drugs. Her family and friends were left in disbelief. But as the investigation unfolded, an unsettling detail emerged. Christy and Hilda had been taken to two different hospitals, hours apart, across Los Angeles. The distance raised more questions than answers. How could they have ended up so far apart? And who were the masked men that dropped them off at the hospitals? The investigation would eventually reveal that both women had been drugged deliberately and with a toxic mix of substances that led to their deaths. But who could be responsible for such a heinous act? Enter David Pierce, a Hollywood producer with ties to the entertainment industry and a secret life that would soon unravel. Pierce was allegedly involved with both Christy and Hilda on the night of their deaths. And as the investigation dug deeper, the truth behind the tragic night slowly began to emerge. As law enforcement continues to piece together the details of that fateful night, one thing is clear: Christy and Hilda's tragic deaths were not the result of a simple overdose. They were targeted, drugged, and abandoned to die, all while their families desperately searched for answers. And it was one person, a grieving husband, who broke the case wide open, leading authorities to uncover a chilling truth that would expose a Hollywood predator. Jan Cillier had just woken up to the devastating news of his wife's death when he discovered an unfamiliar address on Christy's GPS. The location, which appeared right before Christy's phone switched to the hospital, was a crucial clue. It led Jan to a place on Olympic Boulevard in Los Angeles, a place that would ultimately unlock the dark mystery surrounding Christy and Hilda's deaths. Jan posted the address online, hoping someone might recognize it. Within minutes, he received several tips about the man who lived there, David Pierce. Pierce had flown under the radar for years, but Jan's post brought his secrets into the light. David Pierce, a Hollywood producer with a disturbing past, was someone the women had allegedly met at the warehouse party just hours before they were found unconscious and fighting for their lives. It would soon be revealed that Pierce had a history of drugging and exploiting vulnerable women. Authorities followed up on the tip from Olympic Boulevard and uncovered a disturbing lead. The car believed to have been used to drop off Christy and Hilda was found nearby. Further investigation would reveal a grim sequence of events leading to that night. Witnesses confirmed that both women were seen leaving the warehouse party with Pierce and his two friends, Brent Osborne, Pierce's roommate, and Michael Ansbach, a photographer. Surveillance footage from that night showed the group leaving together, heading to Pierce's apartment. According to Telus, cocaine is a hot ticket at these parties, at least on that night, even for Hilda and Christy. The police recovered this text exchange between the two women starting at 4:21 a.m. While still at the warehouse party, "Do you want Coke?" asks Hilda. "Yes," replies Christy. Hilda texted back, "I'm in the kitchen. Let's do a line." Police say half an hour later, surveillance video obtained by 48 Hours shows Hilda and Christy leaving with David Pierce and two other men, his roommate Brent Osborne and their friend, photographer Michael Ansbach. They all get into Osborne's car. At 5:11 a.m., according to the police affidavit, surveillance video, which has not been released because of the ongoing investigation, shows Osborne's car arriving in front of the apartment. According to the affidavit, several people got out of the vehicle and headed to the entrance of the residence. 19 minutes later, at 5:30 a.m., Christy sends, from inside Pierce's apartment, a wide-eyed emoji text to Hilda saying, "Let's go." Hilda replies, "I'll call an Uber 10 minutes away." 13 minutes later, according to the affidavit, a car, believed to be the Uber, pulls up. After waiting 5 minutes, it drives away without Christy and without Hilda. For the next 13 hours, no one knew where Christy and Hilda were. A neighbor would later report hearing moaning and pain from inside the apartment, but inexplicably, no one called the police. It wasn't until 4:19 p.m. that the horrifying truth would begin to unfold. Security footage captured Pierce and Osborne carrying Christy's limp body down the back stairs of the apartment. They were seen wearing disguises, hats, masks, and hoodies, making sure no one could identify them. They then drove Christy to a nearby hospital, where she would be declared dead shortly after arrival. But the nightmare didn't end there. Pierce and Osborne returned to the apartment to grab Hilda, who was also unconscious, barely clinging to life. Again, they placed her into the same car, but this time they drove to a different hospital, Kaiser Permanente. Hilda would survive for 2 more weeks, but she was brain dead. She passed away surrounded by friends and family. The investigation continued to gain momentum, and within 3 weeks, Pierce, Osborne, and Ansbach were arrested in connection with the deaths of Christy and Hilda. However, Pierce was the only one held on charges. Osborne and Ansbach were released, but Pierce faced 4 unrelated sexual assault charges, dating back to 2010. As the investigation continued, more disturbing details came to light. The prosecution alleges that Pierce had a history of luring women to his apartment, drugging them with special drinks that caused them to black out. It was now clear that Christy and Hilda had fallen victim to his deadly scheme. Toxicology reports reveal that both Christy and Hilda had fatal amounts of fentanyl in their systems, an opioid often laced with other drugs, unbeknownst to the users. Although police didn't find fentanyl-laced drugs at Pierce's apartment, Osborne's comment about drugs hidden underneath the cash hinted at a larger operation. Ansbach, the photographer, has been cooperating with the prosecution and is expected to testify against Pierce and Osborne. The investigation is far from over, but one thing is clear. Christy and Hilda's deaths were no accident. Thanks to Jan's perseverance and the relentless work of investigators, the truth is slowly coming to light. Christy and Hilda may have been taken from this world far too soon, but their families are determined to see justice served. Thank you for watching True Crime International.